What it do, niggas?
Morning.
Step away.
Yeah, I said the moment I was finna like do the intro, Geechee walked away.
My bad. How y'all feeling? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, chat. Amber.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Remix Morning Show. It's 7:02 a.m. in Central Time, but 8:02 in Eastern Time. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. We're almost at 50,000 followers, so tell your friends to subscribe too. What's up to the undefeated chat? Y'all was commenting in here early. Y'all was ready, wasn't
I'm trying to figure out how to get this light out my face.
Because I said, why is there a streak going straight through your front?
Yeah, like right through my eyes. I don't know what that was about. What's up, y'all? Morning.
Good morning. How's everyone doing?
No, everybody in the Afro, like Zenzi say. I should have.
Afro Day plus Geech. Yeah.
It is Afro Day.
Put them out.
It's always Afro Day. I took some free headshots yesterday, and the guy was like, "You're the first person with a fro to come take pictures, and they look so good." I said, "I know that's motherfucking right."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, ate them up.
How long you gonna use? I need headshots so I could just use them for like the next 20 years. That's my goal.
I need to do headshots because the ones I have, you can't tell that my teeth is straight. Like it was an old picture, and I was like, I paid too much money for braces, so I need pictures with my teeth straight. And the guy was like, "Man, we haven't had that many people. You know, you want to wear a different outfit tomorrow and come take some more?" I said, "I sure the fuck will. I love free stuff."
What y'all been up to, Geechee? How about you?
No. I mean, I've been just plunged in work, trying to get some shit done here.
What's going on with your tenant stuff?
I don't know. It's a mess, really. Like after the few meetings, the management company has been doing everything it can to like take care of some issues immediately. He's been trying to scare the residents, but that hasn't been working out too well for them. And then the one day I think he had HUD there with him, so he was being extra nice to all the tenants and everybody. And again, like I said, it's a mess. They have like one nonprofit who's over the youth and elders programming, and the lady who runs that nonprofit, she's been continuing to work, but they actually haven't paid her, so she's been paying her employees out of her own pocket without them. So like some services about to stop, and it's just like a mess at this point. But the leaders of the tenants, or the people we identified as the leaders, they're adamant and ready to get stuff done. And then the other people who are kind of like in between and afraid and a little bit, they just want to kind of continue to meet, and they're becoming more open. We're trying to get at least the people in CMB, because a lot of them are kind of new to it. We're studying, or supposedly studying, abolish rent. And I think there's just like this really dope analogy that the book talks about, how if you put your finger and you tap your hand, that's one tenant complaints, and that's the sound of one tenant complaints, and you do two, that's the sound of tenants starting to meet and talk to each other. And this is like an interesting example, but just trying to get them to understand, like, this one individual complaint ain't gonna really make stuff happen. So you have to organize your not only complaints, but have to have your demands. Yeah, so we're working on trying to get a few things done, and some of the initial demands is obviously like anybody can just walk into the elders building, and seniors building. There's no security. And then when they have a security guard outside, like, the elders would have to run downstairs to wake his ass up, tell them to come do something.
Oh,
So yeah, it's just a lot of mess there. And then same thing with the Pittsburgh Neighborhood Association in Southwest Atlanta. Like they are currently the decision-making body of the community that we are attempting to engage in.
Always beefing with. I love it.
I don't think we're beefing. It's just if they have ideals, then they should live up to their ideals. If not, they ain't got to replace them.
I mean, I agree.
big facts.
Also, someone said Geechee, is that a university?
Yeah, that's my first college that I went to out of high school, playing for a coach named Lou Saban. If you heard of him,
Related.
that's Nick Saban's grand uncle,
There
and
you go.
Lou Saban actually used to coach for the Buffalo Bills when OJ was there. So
Nigga, what's wrong with
yeah, Murfreesboro. Yeah, I went up there for the first when I was recruited by him to play football there.
you? There's something wrong with you. Why would you say that?
The juice is expired. We can't.
Yeah,
Juice
was interesting. But now that
Amber's glowing.
I was Maggie Stowe. I was about to ask Amber, why are we dressed up like this, looking like we in a hotel? What's going on?
It's actually a dress, you guys. Just want you to know. But I'm at the Online News Association conference as a creator journalist, as part of this creator journalist cohort thing that I got into. So I have to go. I won't be here for the whole show. I'll be here for an hour, and I gotta go. We have some pitch meetings actually, because the person who's like over our cohort has been like pitching me to people, and so now I have all these meetings to like do contract work with different people for like video content stuff. So I put on a nice outfit today for the little meetings and stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna say yet. I hate when people put me on the spot, but it's gonna be okay.
That's that networking. It's the best thing to do.
And I'm glowing because I be drinking water, y'all. You know, water is so good for you and your skin, and everyone should drink a lot of it.
Yeah, you saw I had to go to the bathroom like 30 times last time, so I'm holding off. But as soon as I get off air, it's gonna be a gallon.
Really quick, Raul pasta sauce. They said, yes, we tried that and eventually did get the CEO of our complex. So if you can reach out to me, I love to trade some notes and see if there's some shared tactics that can happen. So please reach out to me.
So like I said, that free fruit water at the hotel is back, and y'all, they ain't got no free fruit water here.
They got a free cookie?
Nah, I don't eat cookies. Okay,
so you said,
I will say I don't like conferences that are in very nice places, but they do cheap things, because the conference is in New Orleans. Why they have fucking beignets for breakfast yesterday? I said, where's the actual food?
That is New Orleans. You don't want to be in New Orleans?
I'm not eating no fucking beignet for breakfast every day. Who
well,
do I look
listen,
like?
Don't go if you don't want arepas. Don't go to Colombia. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Ain't no nutritional value in a beignet. It's at least a little something in an arepa.
That's true.
It's a little something in there.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say all the nice places are the cheapest places though. They the most capitalist ones. That's how they be charging continental breakfast. No fruit water.
But I would have paid for a continental breakfast, but like they don't even have that. And I was like, why did y'all pay for 6 tables set up with beignets when you could have paid for some fruit and some toast?
Before we get into MIAO, you said you had a what is it? Creative journalism conference. What is it now?
I'm at the Online News Association conference, and I am a creator journalist as part of a creator journalism cohort.
Oh, okay. Josh, what you got?
Wow, what you got to say about it, Geechee?
No, I just didn't hear what you said. I thought it said a creative journalism conference. I was like, oh.
No, creator journalism, like, because I post on Instagram and TikTok, so I'm not like writing. I'm not a reporter. But I'm the only one in our cohort that does my kind of like creative journalism. It's people doing all kinds of different stuff. None of it is similar to me at all. So I thought that was cool. Like the way the cohort is made up, we're all doing different things. But there's just one guy who's Ethiopian who has Ethopeak, and it's a website that tells you about news happening in the Washington, D.C., DMV area and Ethiopia, but it's in their native language. And I was like, that is really cool.
It is. So is this like, so you're networking, is there any sort of Skillshare going on, any kind of trainings, or is it just more meeting people and seeing what everyone's got going on?
So that's what the pitch meeting is about. Someone wants help with like video content and asked me to like write a 6-month pitch for like helping them create video content. They will be filming it, but I would just be like writing out like basic like instructions of what you should be doing, what the video should be of, like explaining all that stuff to them. Because I mean, I think people who don't really use social media a lot, it really feels like a big hill for them to climb. Even though I was like, it's not as hard as you're making it seem. You're making it a bigger thing in your head. It's really not. Like, just pull out your phone and press record and then chop that shit up. That's all you gotta do. But if you want to pay me to do that, to tell you that, you can do that. But I did try to tell her it wasn't that hard.
So do they have any discussions about repression? Because I know we've covered African Stream here. And so my whole thing is like, if we do this really, really well, it gets shut down. That's kind of the trajectory if you get everything down. So are they talking about what happens when you get shut down, going to Blue Sky or things like that?
So the guy who created Blue Sky is here. He was on a panel yesterday and was talking about like the rise of creator journalism and how do you like pivot yourself basically to using like Blue Sky and other sites when you're not used to using like anything. Because a lot of people are like traditional news reporters or like they're doing like a newsletter or a website. Like none of them are really doing a lot of social stuff. And so he talked about like the process of making Blue Sky and why they did it because of like repression and stuff like that. And there was somebody from Al Jazeera who was asking some questions about it because they were also trying to, in the panel I was watching yesterday, it was about like the rise of creator journalism and how do you sustain that and how do you pivot to a place where you're less likely to be repressed, like a Blue Sky or your own Instagram page, or like how do you move yourself to a different like platform or become a different reporter so that you can't be repressed as much. And the Al Jazeera girl, she asked a really good question. I mean, there's a lot of people, I didn't realize it's like an international conference. So most of the people here aren't from here. It's like a lot of people from BBC here, from Canada, from Al Jazeera, from Australia. Canva is here because they have a booth, like a whole like lounge thing. I did not know
people who
their sponsor look like I just briefly looked like they are.
Yeah, they're a sponsor. I didn't know that Canva was based in Australia.
I also see I never really heard of Online News Association. So ONA convened in 1999. A group included a group of journalists from Wall Street Journal, Time, MSNBC, and it supposedly some connection to what was that thing? Associate Press. So it was funded by Associate Press and Google. So yeah, I never actually heard of
Google isn't here though. I didn't see them. I saw Muckrack. That's who gave me the free headshots yesterday. One of the focus areas this year is AI. So that's been annoying because I haven't been going to none of them sessions. There was only one session about AI in the environment and like how to pivot. But like in the little, you know how they have like an exhibit hall where people will come and do like have a booth and stuff. There's a couple like AI companies for people who are doing like data analytics stuff. But I don't use any of that stuff. But I was just like, I guess.
Yeah, it says the AI Journalist Initiative, which offers mixed training, networking opportunities, thought leadership, which is interesting, and other resources for journalists and media executive. Microsoft contributed to the initial funding of the initiative.
Yeah, Microsoft had a session yesterday that I thought about going to so I can get the tea, but it wasn't nothing. My friend who went said it wasn't like really nothing you couldn't find online. Like this was basic stuff. They weren't giving you like insider secret type shit. But I thought about going because I know Microsoft has a huge like AI platform with Copilot. They've been pushing really hard, and I know they're really big in Atlanta because they have like their headquarters stuff there and like bought all their land. But they didn't talk about none of that stuff. So I went to the creator journalism thing. There was a guy there there's a girl who was a consultant on one of the panels, and she actually talked about our cohort. and people in the room were like, "Oh yeah, we've heard about them." So apparently, the lady who formed the cohort, she was telling us yesterday, like the the creator journalism cohort thing is really popular. Like everybody's talking about it. So that's why she's been pitching us to people. And so I met like random people, nobody from like big news publications, because I mean I wouldn't be interested anyways. But I met like random people who are like doing some kind of media thing, like whether NPR, some of them was NPR, Mother Jones. I talked to Mother Jones for a while. The lady was really interested, and a few other ones, because Mother Jones had a creator in residence program that Garrison did. That's where I got the name for the one that I'm doing in Memphis, but I'm not doing anything like what he was doing. The shit he was doing was like more broad and not policy focused at all. And the lady was like, actually, I like your idea. I would much rather partner on that, because what Garrison was doing was like kind of educational, but not giving you tools to like show up in your community and organize. Like the stuff that I'm talking about makes people feel more comfortable to like go to a city council meeting or push back or organize or send an email, like do more action related things, which I think is more important. And she agreed. She was like, yeah, that's way more important than what we need right now. So I'm probably gonna talk to her again because I got her card. Um, there weren't really any other people that I was really excited about, really.
So you said the term a few times now, just for clarity for my sake and the audience. What is creator journalism?
Oh, creator journalism is social media creators who are making content that's within using journalistic ethics and standards. So, like, my content is reporting about different topics, and I'm using like research, editing. My stuff is like it goes through the editing process at an actual newsroom, and then I'm doing the reporting on it. So that's what creator journalism is. Basically, like storytelling that's fact checked and in depth.
Okay. And have you mentioned BLM or that network at all that we have here while you've been networking with people? Maggie OS.
Yeah, I've been talking about the live stream because they were asking me what else did I do other than, because they're like, well, what do you do? And I was like, I post my videos on Instagram and TikTok. And they're like, do you do anything else? Because someone was asking me, have I done traditional news? And I was like, no, I have a live stream that I do on Black Liberation Media, and I talk about policy stuff on there, current events, different topics, but I'm not a reporter or anything like that. Like that's not my aim or goal. I prefer to make content specifically geared towards Black people around policies, breaking down different topics, like giving them tools to make things feel more approachable for them. I'm not interested in like, being an anchor at a news station.
Yeah, that's
I,
that's great to hear. But I know there's a lot of people who that's their career trajectory. So
I mean
one
that
of the people in our creator journalism cohort used to be an anchor at a news station a few years ago, and he quit because he said it's and he hated it. And he said they just have you up there just talking about shit that don't even make no sense. Like it's just random stuff no one cares about. He didn't care about reporting on it. I was like, yeah, because they'll just find random news for you to talk about every day, most likely about death or Black people killing each other or shit that's oppressive. He was like, yeah, pretty much. And it was boring. And so he quit and then he started his own thing.
yeah, I'm always interested in defection stories. So hearing that's why.
Yeah, he said that after that he tried to go back to do like weekend anchoring on the side just to like make a little side money, and they were like no, because they saw his stuff on Instagram and his reporting stuff, and they didn't like the style,
Yeah.
and they were like no. I said, oh shit. Oh, for someone who said I live on Canva, Stoner Rebel said I live on Canva. Girl, Canva is here. They giving out hats, socks, chicken salt seasoning. And I was like, why are you giving out chicken salt? And apparently chicken salt is a seasoning they use in Australia, like on everything, especially French fries. So they're like giving out these seasonings. And I got some shit. I said, okay, sure. And I tried it on some fries yesterday. That shit is good. I
Chicken
said, oh,
salt? Is it
yeah.
where's the chicken flavor come from? That's why I'm a little confused.
I don't know. And they giving out these little Tim Tam things. These are good.
Oh, they doing the whole Australian cultural offensive. I see.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were Australian companies, so I was also like, very interesting.
Yeah, I was like with Blue Sky with all of this, I do feel we talked about this before where like we need technical skills and we have to get them from somewhere just to stay on top of things, but it's the ideology that organizes them. But like Canvas snuck into so many I think, organizers' tool belts lately. I'm still PowerPoint and Google Slides out, but I've been forced into Canvas. So I think it's real interesting how so many of us, if we're making flyers or doing slideshows, have been put on this technology. And yeah, you're the first person telling me it came from Australia. I hadn't even seen where this thing I'm using came from. So
people in the chat are saying, like Latif said, the Australian seasoning salt. So apparently it's like very popular there. And okay, So Life. They said this chicken salt sounds like a
that's
roast.
that's what I thought of.
So that's exactly what it tastes like, except it has a little more subtle flavor. It's not as strong, but that's what it tasted like to me. I was like, oh, this that ramen noodle shit. Someone in the chat brought up something I was gonna talk about for our current event thing. So if y'all want to talk about it, we can. Or Geechee, do you have any updates? Damn, Lord, your keyboard loud as hell.
I got the little, I got this plastic thing on it. That's why you gotta make sure it doesn't. Yeah, get messed up. Sorry, Geechee.
Laura Gain told us what was going on in Miami. I mean, there's a bunch of different.
Yeah. What's going on in Miami right now? What am I doing anyway? Local programming. I feel like I'm gonna lose it, but I'm actually getting ready for our survival training. We do programming each week. So we'll do run club, so Monday miles, and we're trying to transition that into a way to canvas people. So we'll run or walk and then go around neighborhoods and knock on doors, talk about Black Men Build, that kind of thing. But my cardio's been shit. So back in the gym, running so that I can join that. And then we got our boxing coach. He's back and he started a program. Look, no matter what level of athlete I've seen in our organization with like new, out of shape, like running for years, everyone goes to boxing training, and when I see them after, they look dead. Like they look passed out, like ready to call it quits. So I'm working my way up to boxing, and then we're trying to make armed self-defense a regular part of our programming, which is fantastic for people who do it. If you're trying to get it started in your community, one thing to consider is that depending on the laws, felons can't be around guns. And so sometimes they can't participate in these things. So you might want to mix it up. We're looking at doing just like a gun safety thing, which we did before, which is where you just show the firearms. We got a little laser gun and things like that are real. And then on the range. And we got people who get scared. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. I don't know how many of y'all have been to the range, Geechee and Bro. I don't know if y'all have shot before, but people be out there with their rockets. And if you've never been before, that shit is a little scary. Yeah. It's a little loud. And we in the South, so motherfuckers come with a truck full.
Have you thought about doing armed defense stuff that wasn't like guns, like knives, tasers?
Yeah, I think we're definitely open. I actually don't know Vishnu's training background. That's our person who runs boxing down here. I don't know his training background. He might be capable of all those things, but we're keeping it like that right now. And we're making that like the core of our survival programming. So I'm just trying to get in shape so I can keep up with that. And
that's so lit.
Yeah.
I love running, and I actually cut 2.5 minutes off my run time the other day for my mile time. So I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, the mouth runs, man. Oh my God. And my coach just be like, breathe. It's okay. Your muscles, everything, that don't matter. Your brain, nah. It's just, you be like, anytime I'm tired or I can't finish, it'd be like, control your breathing.
It's so crazy how like breath really can make such a huge difference. Like whenever I'm doing like yoga and I'm in like a difficult move, when you take deep breaths, it just gets oxygen to your muscles. Everything becomes like more lucid. You're able to like move and like sit deeper in it. It really is powerful. I think that people, they look for some big, huge, aha tip when realistically the easiest one is to breathe.
Yeah, man. It's true. Some of the simple stuff, breathe, drink water. Don't drink all your water at once unless you're trying to throw up. The basics. But I know, like from high school, I used to play sports. So it was so common. Like you just ran all the time. But I know as adults, like almost, if you're not in a league or doing something, you run out of excuses even to run. So you gotta like really incorporate that into your schedule. Geechee, how do you still work out? I know you were athletes, like for real. So
Yeah.
you still
I do home calisthenics. I ride my bike, jump rope, and then I go to the gym every so often. Well, I've been increasing going to the gym recently with one of my homeboys, but I haven't been like when I was living out the country. I was walking a lot and probably swimming and stuff like that, but I haven't really done a lot. And then cardio, jump rope, I've probably been doing that consistently.
Oh, the jump rope that's the one
People who jump rope are serious. I'd be like, ooh.
You doing the fancy, the skips and you doing all that?
I ain't doing the switch thing, but I do speed though. I got
skip thing.
I'm speed jumper and stuff like that, but no, I don't do all the I ain't really there. But yeah, I've been riding like I'll ride my bike for a while and then I'll take a break jump roping and then I take a break jump roping back riding.
Where you put the jump rope when you ride it?
In my mochila. I got a bag that I normally carry with me.
Is mochila just bag? We used to get taught down here was backpack.
Well, I mean the Afro-Colombians call it like
any bag is
a satchel type. But yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I think that I love those like little side bags. I have way too many of them. I have like at least 2 of them, and I love those, like the little small fanny pack bags. I like a little simple something. It ain't gotta be too much, just a little something. Sorry, my computer keep moving because I put this junk on top of a tissue stand because I have my books that I normally put my computer on. It's just swiveling.
I think you're onto someone to swim in though. Like, there's just because it doesn't have to just be running. Like jump rope Geechee is absolutely the one I was looking for. My gym roof too low though, and I'm a little tall, so I got to go outside. But
I hate
swimming.
I love swimming.
According to Herschel Walker, even though I know y'all don't like him now, but when he played football, he said he didn't do a lot of working out. He did most water workouts and swimming, and he claims that's how he stayed not so injured like other people. Mm-hmm. I remember most of
the water helps you like recover fast.
Yeah, and when you're in the water, like it actually the pull and push is actually working out every muscle. So if you're just standing in there, you're working muscles. But if you're doing workout, it's increasing it. So I remember any light injuries I had, I would increase my recovery time by being in water and doing water workouts.
Yeah, I love there's that iconic picture of Muhammad Ali in the pool, like practicing boxing. Yeah. So I think I love swimming too, Amber. I think getting more creative with the cardio can be a thing for people too. Swimming, someone said roller skating. That's one I was talking about. I didn't get to go. That's what I missed in Miami. I was working an event. I didn't get to go to the roller skating thing. So I still don't know how to roller skate backwards. That's my white whale. I got to figure that out.
Eventually. Yeah. And speaking of boxing, I was I have a brother I grew up with who now I think I don't know how famous he is now, but he trained Gervonta Davis and he's on social media and a bunch of celebrities going to see him. He's in Georgia and I have not gone to see him yet, but I've been thinking like I would try that training, but as you said, I know it's like your first day, you're probably not gonna.
Some mental test if you coming back.
Yeah, you probably not gonna wake up too well the next day. But yeah, so I'm eventually gonna get into some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I like boxing as an idea. I've never done like the workout thing, but I think I'm working up to it. My problem is that I don't like gyms. Like I like workouts where I'm physically moving somewhere. Like even when I work out in my house, it gets boring to me. I like to be like running down the street or like moving physically outside somewhere. And also gyms are disgusting. Like don't be cleaning.
They do smell.
They smell weird. They don't be cleaning shit off. I'd be like,
Oh man. Leah asked put out a great point about stretching. Do we take time to stretch? I mean, yeah, I think
I do yoga every morning, so I'm always stretching. That's usually what my main workout is. Like I'll do yoga and then either go running afterwards, or I'll do yoga and don't run, or I'll run and then do yoga at night. But my main thing I'm doing is usually yoga.
Yeah, I use the Bend app. I don't know if that app is amazing. Just because I don't know what stretches to do. I just go with order. I know when younger, like playing sports, you just stretch just cause. I didn't really appreciate it back then though, because I was like, I'm fine. I can get up and do this shit.
There's the old football joke that speaks condescendingly towards stretches. They was like, well, does a dog stretch before it chase you?
I don't know. Maybe it's an old dog. It's a good question though. That's funny.
That's what a lot of.
I'm not doing a deep stretch, but I do stretch a little bit before I just strike off running.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I also feel like it helps me go faster.
I got a good follow up off that then. Geechee, because I was talking to my guy, a coach, and he talked about hitting. If you were hitting in football, did you aim high or did you aim low? Like, did you aim for people's legs or did you aim for their upper body? Because he was explaining that and like different skill sets to both.
So it depends, because I played both sides of the ball through college, and it really just depends. Like if I'm, we used to do chop block just to have fun sometimes, so that's low. But normally, if you want to control the person, you hit them in the midsection, and you can control where they go. So it really just depends on what's going on. Tackling wise, it depends on who you're tackling. Like you can't hit the strong person up high, or anybody really. Like you want to have to hit them somewhat low. And then even some people who are extremely strong, as I remember Greg Jones, and he went to Florida State and then Jacksonville. You can hit him in the leg all you want. It's not gonna happen. so yeah, I think it really just depends.
We're gonna move on to current events soon. I got one more than on that. Do you like offense or defense more? My guy was telling me he played offense. He started off on that, but he felt like defense, he could control his fate more, because it can be like you can make more plays one-on-one. You don't have to rely on the line and things like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think my life lesson, my last college, because I was a receiver and a cornerback, I thought that I was helping out the team by switching to receiver full time because we had less receivers. And at the time, we had an NFL caliber free safety, Antoine Marsh, and my roommate, EJ Underwood, was the left corner. And then there was a right corner who wasn't that good from Ellenwood. And they picked on him the whole time. So if I would have stayed as cornerback, I would have got a lot of action. But being receiver, you're depending on the offensive coordinator, the line, and the quarterback being able to make the throws. And that's the worst position. That's the worst position. Worst position on the field to be dependent on everybody else. Every other position, as you said, like you can get your rocks off however you need to. So definitely defense. I if I had done it again, I would have never suggested that I'm going to help out the receivers and stay receivers, because I just had a boring blocking ass few years.
I heard.
I did start somebody's comment who asked me about a current event thing. Kahinde said I'm curious to hear Amber's thoughts about the Wired piece that exposed the court's dark money controversy funding influencers to run cover for Democrats. My only comments about it or thoughts about it is that I think that it was misrepresented, because that's not what they were being paid to do. And Geechee and I talked about this too, but I do think that the specific language, like to run cover for Democrats, is not realistic if you look at the people who are making the content, because they are making content that's actually very that calls out Democrats specifically a lot. So I don't think that they were running for cover if they were actually cussing them out and shit. But I do think that the piece was a very good, very popular piece of propaganda. They did exactly what it was meant to do and stir this whole thing. And because niggas don't actually read for comprehension, nothing people said after that really kind of changed anything, because people don't want to actually believe that they were wrong about something.
Yeah, and so we said we would hold off on the Taylor Lorenz story, so we'll definitely, if we want to cover it in detail, go for it, because we talked about this as well, Amber, though, but that they're casting a broad net, so that while folks who are critical might be in that net, like David Pacman is not, he's somebody who's very, so then when I compare how many subscribers David Pacman has versus maybe this more radical, personality, we talk like they're hedging their bets. So they widen that, and then they know who is going to say the lines and who they can give resources. But if anyone can be bought in, I think that's another way to see is like, oh, this person's going to stay 10 toes. They just want the resources for the training. And then, oh, this person's somebody who maybe wants to get on the network and join my podcast. And so,
I think also I think it would be more realistic to think that the article was true if you could see it like through the content. But even the people that were like making, because I didn't know who was in the chorus thing either, so they were like making comments and posts about it, like saying like, I'm in this thing and this is what we were doing. Even when I look at their content, it's remained critical. Like they've remained critical of the Democrats, of like Hakeem Jeffries, of certain people. Like none of that changed. And chorus isn't attached to the Democratic Party. Chorus is like a separate 501c4. So I also think that they're conflating things together.
We can definitely go back into the story because there was a lot.
Oh, we gotta go to that later article. I don't care about that white girl.
Yeah, there's a lot of had questions on.
I just wanted to answer that one question. And somebody else in the chat had a question about the National Guard. That was going to be my like current event story thing about the National Guard coming to Memphis. I have a lot of thoughts. But my main thought is that our mayor needs to say that he does not want this, and him not saying that he doesn't want it because he's a scared pussy is not going to help the situation.
Wait, does he want it or not?
He doesn't, but
he tell y'all that?
Huh?
He told y'all that already?
Yeah, he called me and gave me the rundown of the conversation he had with Pam Bondi after they had the conversation. He told me everything they said. And I told him, while I understand what he's saying, I still don't agree that you shouldn't. He doesn't want to outwardly say, I don't want the National Guard here because of them threatening him and stuff. And I was like, while I understand that, I don't trust them at all. And someone telling you they're going to give you resources for programming or any of these other things, they're lying to you. And they just don't want any public pushback because they're getting public pushback in other places, which is why they've pivoted to Memphis. So the timeline is everything that's happening in Chicago. They can't get the National Guard there. So they pivoted to Memphis. So on Monday, they called our mayor, Pam Bondi called our mayor and was saying that, Trump really wants to do this. He's really excited about it. He thinks that, this is what's going to make Memphis better. We're going to, come in and help the city. It's a really important city to him. He knows how important it is for the music scene and all this other stuff. And he was like, basically, they didn't answer any of his questions. They gave no details to anything. They don't have any details for anything. They don't have any orders for the National Guard members. They don't know who it will be. They don't know if they would have uniforms on. They don't know if they would have guns. They have no details because they haven't planned anything out because that's the kind of like government that we have right now. And he's trying to figure out how to respond to it. And I told him that your response needs to be that you don't want it. And they told him specifically he cannot say that. So he's
okay,
trying to figure it out. And I said, you can't let some white people scare you. Like, I think that if I was weighing the options of coming out against something and the city will stand with me versus not saying something and losing like my support and base, I would do this one regardless of what they threatened you with, because it's going to be way worse if you don't. And now, yesterday, several public officials came out with statements saying they don't want them here too. So now it's even worse because he still hasn't said that, but you got 4 or 5 people who have put out statements and said they told the governor not to do this, all this other stuff. So it's not helping him and his like image. And while I'm like understanding, like I get you feel threats or whatever, you still have to like choose what people are telling you, and people are saying to say something. And so I just told him it wasn't a good decision, and I don't know what.
You sound like a better politician than the mayor, but that doesn't surprise me to with organizers.
I mean, I understand. So I'll read because I wrote down everything he was saying to me. I record everything because I don't trust people. So
Smart.
specifically, he said all this escalated in the last 3 days so quickly because of what's happening in Chicago and Trump not being able to bring them there. So he just increased the ICE presence in Chicago. Currently, they're slated to come within the next 2 to 4 weeks, but they haven't been given a date and they don't have any orders. And when the mayor spoke to Mayor Browser, she told him that when she originally pushed back, they increased ICE enforcement because they don't need permission to do that. And so he's afraid to push back because he doesn't want them to increase ICE enforcement, which I understand because the ICE enforcement in Memphis is already very, very bad. Like I literally helped 2 families self-deport last week. Like people are very much getting snatched up or just self-deporting. So I understand him wanting to be like, I don't want that to increase. So I don't want to say these things. And I told him, I understand that, but you still need to say this. I get that this is a very bad thing that's happening with ICE. I totally understand. I'm literally talking to people on our hotline every other day, but you still need to say something. This is not the thing that you bend on. And he's just very worried about it because he doesn't want that to happen, which I get. And he's worried about like retaliation and stuff, which I also get. I understand. Like I said to my friends, I would never want to be mayor. I think that it's very easy as a citizen to say, oh, he's just a bitch ass nigga who won't stand up for us. I think it's very easy to say that when you aren't hearing what he's being told or what the administration is being told. I totally get that. Because not only are they saying the National Guard is going to come in, but now the comptroller's office is also trying to come in and say, we're going to take over your county clerk's office and your health department and all these other places along with the National Guard. So it's like a bigger thing that's happening. So I totally get the fear of it. And I still know that you have to stand in your convictions and say you don't want this no matter what at the end of the day, because losing the citizens is the worst thing you can do, no matter what you're being threatened with, which I told him that last night. I said, I still say this is not the right thing to do and that you need to stand up. And he was like, I get it. I understand. Like he understands what I'm saying and he doesn't think that I'm wrong.
Does
But
he? What's his background? That's what I was just about to ask. I know Johnson comes from some sort of organizing background, so there's like the progressive or activist mayor, and then there's the type who's maybe more like, I'm just from the community. I just want to keep things running. So I was wondering where he falls on that spectrum.
he used to be in over the downtown commission, and before that he was over hood for Memphis. So
Okay.
he has a major like housing. I call him a development nigga. Like he has a major like development nigga background, housing.
Yeah.
But also his family is very like rooted in the community. His parents are pastors who like have a lot of like community like projects and organizations they've been doing there for a very, very long time. Like they have a mental health like community center people can go to multiple days out the week and get free services. They have a daycare. I actually found out that the daycare, I used to go there, which I remember, but he used to work there in the classroom I was in. I was like 3. So I wouldn't remember that, of course, but he was like working there when he was like 15. So of course I don't remember him, but like his family's just very, very well rooted in the community. And I think that people also were considering that when they were voting for him, and that like they know like his family, where he comes from, they know that the community work they've done, that he's also done, but also the other options, trash. The mayor, the guy who was running for mayor other than him was the sheriff, Van Turner, who was like a civil rights attorney lawyer here, but he lied every fucking day. He always lying about shit. And even though he was more movement based, I couldn't trust he was gonna do none of that shit that he said he was gonna do, because he lied too much. Like when I say lie, I mean just a liar. And that was losing people because he was literally lying about random shit. And I'm just like, we're not gonna support you. So that's really how Paul got in, is that one, people felt like they could work with him. And I will say that I have been able to work with him. Every policy I presented him, he's agreed to. Every change we've made with like mental health response, different stuff we've done around the police department, the data transparency stuff we put out about showing all the traffic tickets and like all the stops and stuff. He's pushed for all that to happen when the previous mayor did. The previous mayor ignored us. This nigga wouldn't even talk to us. Like I literally had one meeting with our mayor before him, who was mayor for 8 years. So he is a different guy from the previous mayor, but I don't feel like he beating the development nigga allegations at all. which I told him. I was like, you're not beating him at all.
You just outlined it. Like, that was amazing. Thank you, Amber. I feel like that's a lot of the contradictions we run into with mayors or with elected officials in general. Like, it's not like we're choosing our own options or running our own candidates. We're often choosing from a list of shit options. And then people who don't have the politic to know what kind of system they're in. Because like you described, I know a lot of community, you know, I don't even want to call them leaders necessarily, but people who are embedded in the community do a lot of things. And then they get into this position, but they misunderstand what the position was or how even, you know, politics work, right? Outside of your local like programs versus international, where they can shut down your whole programs and threaten you with outside capital, that kind of thing. So I think we run into shitty options, selecting the least shitty one. And then they don't know that we're in, you know, fascist America, right? So they're not ready to step
And like when you think of the landscape of the election, there were 17 people running for mayor. There were like 12 on the final ballot. So he won by like 25,000 plus votes, which was way more than like other people like that. No one was even close to him. But you also have to remember there were so many people running that really diluted like what people needed to even win. But also the fact that like people can never be on the same page. All these bougie black niggas all want to run for mayor. Should you be mayor? Not at all. Are you gonna still run? Yes. Like they're just gonna do it.
So I was just looking at that dude who tried to kidnap him. Why did he almost kind of look like that?
Someone tried to kidnap the mayor? Like, this is Batman? Like, what's going on?
What they kind of looking like though? Because I'm like, don't.
It's actually like a whole thing. So apparently some dude jumped a wall and was gonna kidnap the mayor, but he knocked on his door. So obviously you wasn't finna kidnap no fucking body because you knocked on the door and they could see you on the ring camera.
He's on the ring camera. That's exactly what it is.
And then they got his car, like they went through his car and he had a list of like all these random elected officials. And he said that he didn't want to kidnap the mayor. He wanted to talk to the mayor about crime. And I blame the media because the media sensationalizes crime and it makes people think of it in this extreme way. So now you got random motherfuckers coming to your door to ask you, say, I want to talk to you about crime, but you got a rope and fucking tie things. Like, come on, bro. Like, yeah. But apparently he was very unwell and is in a mental facility right now. His family came out and was like, you know, that he has some other stuff going on. But I also was like, this is the exact media rhetoric we talk about when we say this is indoctrinating people to think these different things and to act in these extreme ways, because all the news here does is talk about crime and niggas being murdered every fucking day. They literally save murders that happened a few days ago to talk about it on Sunday in case they ain't got nothing. Like, that's all they do. And people don't understand why their ratings are going down. Nobody trusts them and nobody wants to watch the news because you never talk about anything else that's happening here. And so you have people thinking that it's so scary to go outside. It's just so hard to live here. It's so violent, so dangerous, which is not true. Even the mayor hired a public safety advisor, like consultant, to come in and like someone who wasn't from here to come through, live here for a year and advise on what they think that we should change in the city. And even he said, it's safe here. I walk everywhere. I've never been I've never experienced a crime. I've never even seen crime. Like, it's actually very safe. And I would encourage people to like act accordingly. But the media, you know, they're a powerful tool. Yeah. And I tell people that all the time.
I wonder if again that ties into even the conference, because I was, you know, trying to wrap my head around the larger objective, and if, as you said, media is being delegitimized and then people are transitioning to more getting their information from social media, then it will probably be wise of those who control the media to also get their hands in shaping who's the next authoritative creative journalism or content creative journalists.
Yeah,
but I don't think that'll happen because they don't like us.
I mean, they'll find the capital will find a way.
This consulting girl who's on a panel, she does consulting about like creator journalism and like incorporating more video. And a lot of them, she said the biggest hurdle she has is that they don't want to partner with creator journalists. They don't want to partner with influencers. They don't like want to be associated with them. They don't like them. They wish it would go away. And she has to like explain to them that that's not realistic and that they need to pivot their reporting anyways because the way that they're reporting things is not helpful and people don't like to watch them. That's why their ratings are going down. And I was like, yeah. And that's also why most of us would not work with a legacy news or like a Today show or NBC News or MSNBC. I'm not interested in none of those because they're not talking about anything that I care about.
Yep. Corporate media is dealing with a crisis. Like, and so.
But there are a lot of NPR affiliates here. Like I saw about 10 yesterday, like from all over the country.
Unemployed now? Didn't Trump shut it down?
They have jobs.
Oh, okay. Trump didn't. That was all like crazy news that Trump was defunding them.
I think there was funding removed, but not enough to like shut them down.
Oh yeah, okay. Roll back $9 billion. Ending taxpayers.
They just got like they get like grants and stuff. A lot of them say they're a lot like mostly grant funded. They get a lot of support from like private donors and stuff. So.
No, I mean, we talk all the time about propaganda, the media is the fifth arm of the military, that kind of thing. So what you laid out, I think we all experience it in our cities. I grew up watching Channel 7 News in Miami, Broward, South Florida. It's the same shit. Like it's all news. I even thought when you were saying that about how we checked in, we all talked about community events and struggles and things we got going on in our neighborhood. Promise our people turn on the Channel 7 News. You're not going to hear about, hey, we're reopening the skate park at Charles Hadley. Hey, there's a run club. Like none of that shit. It's just gonna exactly some person did something somewhere maybe this week, and we're gonna talk about it. And it's just that for an hour, and then something about we would do like Deco Drive, so they show you how rich celebrities lived, and that's American news, like for real.
I just think that
Rashad said that the local news in Philly just had a podcast to do a segment this morning.
I mean, ESPN is doing that as well, where they're bringing on like all these celebrities to tell. Like, I saw Drewski on there the other day. I think Kyson. They have they were streaming a football game that the streamer iShowSpeed was watching, and it was literally like, watch this football game with Speed in the chat. It's crazy. So it's like they're giving people friends, honestly.
So crazy enough, the iShowSpeed guy was in Memphis yesterday. It was all throughout Memphis. He went to go. He went and like learned juking with the Memphis nigga everywhere I go, like group of jukers. He went to Moneybag Yo's house, slicing pools and shit. Like, I don't know if y'all heard that term, but like in Memphis, when you're swimming, like when you jump in the pool, we call it slicing. So he was like jumping in sideways and shit with different Memphis niggas. He went to the National Civil Rights Museum. This guy, Ryan, that I know who went to undergrad with me, was the one giving him the tour because he handles like all the historian stuff. He has like a PhD in history or whatever. And Ryan, cool. He just married to a white lady, so I don't really fuck with him. But I think it's weird to work at the National Civil Rights Museum and also be married to a white woman where you look at how they called you the hard ER.
I mean, there were people in the civil rights movement leadership that were married to white women.
You know, the conundrums. But yeah, he went there. He also went to City Hall. He was like all over. He went downtown. That nigga was all over, and I didn't realize. I know he's a popular streamer, but I didn't know he was like super, super popular. But I actually was more concerned with how do they keep the stream going. So then I saw the like guy who's holding the camera and all that stuff, and like all the stuff attached to it. So I was like, okay, but how is like where's the internet? Like, how do they keep it running and all this stuff? I was like so intrigued by that more than anything because the stream was definitely still going.
Yeah, a hotspot, a mobile hotspot could do that pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but it don't always be covering everything. Like he was literally walking throughout the city. Like he was downtown. Yeah. He was in areas that like my phone might be working there.
Your phone could be a mobile hotspot and it can be connected.
That's a good ass hotspot.
Yeah, I was gonna say because our mobile phones are shit, but I know you can pay for like they probably just pay. It's just cost of your means of production, but they probably just pay for a high speed internet. But I was with you, Amber. Like so. Well, first, yes, exactly. He's not, Speed's not doing that. I do think.
Well, I was gonna say, Nia said he should have went to the data center. He can't go to the data center. They got that shit blocked off. They got MPD and private security around all of them. They not letting nobody go to them just somewhere.
Makes sense. They don't want to. I mean, Speed. So yeah, you said how popular he was. I think Mr. Beast is like the white people's number one, but I think Speed is like number one streamer in the world.
Black people's, and he's like Nigerian.
Speed's Nigerian?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought he was Afro-American. That's crazy.
Somebody said that he was Nigerian because he was waving the Nigerian flag.
He be waving all sorts of flags.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
he be waving everything. I
Oh,
mean,
so maybe
it
he's
would
not
work.
Nigerian.
I know him, and I think I don't know what Kai Cenat's nationality is. I think Kai Cenat's Afro.
He's Haitian.
Haitian. There you go. But that's like the 1 and 2 most popular streamers. Like on, well, I get black algorithm shit, so maybe just for us, but I think on Earth potentially Speed is up there. So.
Oh, he's American. He just like waving flags and shit, I guess.
Yeah. Well, his claim to fame was saying free Palestine or free Palestine a lot, which some people give him credit for. I think he was doing it without necessarily knowing what it meant, and just because it was clout. I think now
he's young. Like he's not even. He was born in 2005, so he's 20.
Yeah, that's another one.
He's
Yeah,
not even 21 years old. And I remember seeing a video that he did with Maxwell Frost in Congress, and they said that vote.org literally crashed because so many people were on there registering to vote because of him. So like you can definitely see the impact of like his impact with like the younger generation. Like people definitely move off the shit that he's doing, just like the Kai and that guy. I don't like Kai though. Kai don't have no good politics.
Nah.
He a bitch ass nigga. Yeah. He weird. I don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them make money on anti-black content. Drewski as well at this point. Speed being so young,
he ain't got no morals. He gonna put on a redneck outfit. He gonna put on some black racist shit. He don't care.
Yeah, you don't. You know, it's all clout and getting the views up and making money. I think you were highlighting the crisis though that capitalist media is going through, right? Because if these streamers can shut down websites or just move a lot of people all at once in a way that, you know, the rulers can't control, it's not helpful. So they're going to try and figure out some way.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm almost with Leo and say I have no idea who these people are. But the reality is, Nana Kuntu, Del Jones talked about the crossovers, right? And we always thought the celebrities, well, you know, the talented, I'm sorry, let me back up. The singing or athletic celebrities, once they become famous, big time, the crossover happens where they stop talking about political shit. So, you know, we talked about Charlamagne, I think a couple weeks ago. He got to a certain status and now he's in every political conversation. And it's just going to be the same thing with the content curators or the online gamers or whatever. Like once they get so big, brands are going to put their name behind them, and then that's going to make them articulate political messages. And I think the control of it, as we've talked about before, is less of you need to say this and more of you get paid to come this place to talk about this thing, and you can wear this thing and you get these free things. So I only can see Speed and Kai and whoever else. The more and more influence they get, the more and more ad revenue they're able to generate, and then the corporations will be more and more helping them do a particular thing. But you can listen to somebody talk for less than 20, 30 seconds and kind of figure out what's that.
Right. My thing, well, two things. One about like it's generational, right? So the same way you have a relationship with Charlamagne and y'all have like developed parallel paths, essentially. There's somebody who's no Speed like that, essentially, right now, and is watching his development and seeing him become this generation's version. I don't want to call him Charlamagne or anything, but of the next big media personality. And so those tensions are going to just keep, reappearing. It's dialectics. I just am worried, one, about that, who is it going to be? And then two, like how this comes from like what you said, anyone can monetize any of their content in this marketing world. So what I really see a lot of times with this stream shit, it was just like, oh, this is all the shit me and my friend group did as a kid. Y'all just got it on video. And now y'all are just making other people in like, oh, let's go slap each other. Let's go fucking shoot off fireworks at each other in the neighborhood. And now instead of it just being you and your friends, you got some lonely kid in Ohio. You got some white kid who wants to say nigga. You got everybody like flooding in the chat.
All over the place.
Enjoying but it's still like they do a lot of shit that's just basic stuff. I mean, Kyrie's older than me, grown ass man, but he's on the, I don't mind this. I'm just saying he's on the stream dancing and stuff. They're learning new dances. They're playing video games. Like all of this is just lifestyle content in my mind that's been heavily monetized. But they're going to start slipping in the news. They're going to be slipping in ideas. And that's where, it gets real dangerous.
Yeah. But I do think that it's interesting that he's here and showing like all the sides of Memphis. He'd have been to the hood, he'd have been downtown, he'd have been to the Civil Rights Museum, he'd have been every fucking where, and ain't shit happened to him. And you know, if it was really some real fucking criminals, they would have busted a lick on that nigga who worth $20-30 million. But
or not with a camera following
okay.
him.
The other thing about Speed, I had a question.
Cameras at that event with that Charlie nigga. They ain't care about them cameras.
Yeah. Well,
So celebrity with camera following.
So, it ain't that many people with him. He had 2 security guards, a camera dude, and like some friends.
Well, he got
an international celebrity with a camera follow him.
So yeah, I was just about to say. So Amber, I'm not sure if you saw, and I still have questions about this. I'm trying to figure it out. But Speed was in China, doing a whole stream, traveling all throughout China. He had security there. China's police were helping him in some of the areas, and I'm just like, how did this happen? That's my biggest question. Like, who in the Chinese government?
I think
ambassadors, or who was that?
Like, the way that he puts these places on for tourism, they're willing to do whatever.
That's what I'm saying. I think because he was there, he was obviously treating it with some sort of respect. He still does some light coon content, in my opinion. A lot of them do. That's the Vine pathway. But in general, he was there. He was dressed in Mongolian traditional wear and ran with the horses. He is showcasing their culture. He's showing that China is not some, fucking concentration camp where people can't be individuals. So he got to go around and stuff. And then for the Afro-pessimist crowd, he did get to see some Chinese people be racist to him. And that was streamed on air and things like that. So it's a complicated bag, I think. But I was just like, is the Chinese government okay with this? He was in a limo with a bunch of like A-list Chinese actors and stuff like that as well, going to a premiere and stuff. So it very much seems like it works for the Chinese state, like they would like it. But I'm just yeah, I'm confused. So I was just very confused at who okayed what visa for that to happen. But yeah, these streamers are an interesting breed. Anyway, Amber, I know you got to go soon. It's coming to that time. But we are going to transition into talking about a lot of what we just talked about: Black misleadership class, news, corporate news versus independent journalism, with our Flashback Friday looking at Black Agenda Report. So, Amber's not going to be able to join us for that.
I'm going to watch, but yeah, I got to go to this thing.
About to transition into that. So, any last questions for Amber?
Fun, guys.
So I saw this. I think it's not wise to think that the whole China that has one particular politics. And in fact, if democracy is there, and there's a bunch of different politics and people, and it's important to note that if you see Speed, and Speed is in a caravan, a car with the person who they call the Chinese Trump, then one would begin to be like, oh, okay. How could he possibly be used? Of course, China is a large body of land with a bunch of people. And so it's a good chance that there could be 1 million people in China who has shit politics. So it's not really a feat that he's, again, all you really need is somebody to come visit,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously there's a lot going on. That's why I was so interested in how curated it was. Like, who is he talking to? Reddit was going off about this Chinese, citizen ran up to him and called him the N-word or whatever. And the follow-up to that story that I saw, interestingly enough, was that person had to apologize. So there's a culture of shaming people for embarrassing their nation by being racist that was talked about. So this person got shamed and doxxed, apparently, and then had official from China came and had them apologize for doing that. So people will still take that as like big China government, big brother kind of thing. But yeah, right. If in America, if the government and people dox you for being racist online, we would live in a completely different society. So I don't even want to pretend like those things are parallel.
Okay, I got a dip, but I will just say, while we've been talking, Trump is on national television saying that he's being welcomed by the governor and the mayor. And this is why I said that nigga should have stood the fuck up and said something.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you know better than him, so that's how we do. But he'll learn, or he won't.
He probably won't, but it's whatever. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace, Amber. Have a good day.
Thank you.
So you said you want to get into that video. Are you?
Yeah, if you want to look at the article first, defining who communists reposted it, defining or the usefulness of the term Black misleadership class. I know we've been doing a little bit of vocab, so that could be helpful.
Perfect. You want me to pull it up, or are you working the book?
I can't because I still have to figure out the studio. So next.
All right. So the published in Hood Communist Liberation Archives, the usefulness of the term Black misleadership class, that was published in 2022. Or I guess this is probably a republish of it, but yeah, you wanted to.
Yeah, just some background. Why I wanted to do this. I consider Black Agenda Report like the parent to Black liberation media in so many ways. So for people to know where this comes from, I figured it makes sense for those who aren't familiar to look at Black Agenda Report, to look at Glenn and Bruce and Margaret and those ancestors and elders, because Margaret's still around, and what they've used. So we use the term Black misleadership class a lot here, and I wanted to be clear on what it meant originally, and then maybe how we've expanded it, because I think it was originally a term for like the political class and the Congressional Black Caucus and things like that, or Black mayors, like Amber was talking about. But we've tried to expand it a little bit with these celebrities and creator journalists that we've been talking about. So just wanted to go through this one a little quick. This was interesting because Glenn is somebody, if y'all aren't aware, who is cool taking shots at people. Friend, foe, doesn't matter, because he's trying to get to the truth. Very much appreciate that. So there's a little bit of, he's coming at Bruce Dixon, comrade and other editor of Black Agenda Report, for kind of pulling back on using the term Black misleadership class. He's suddenly saying maybe it's not the best term anymore. It implies there ought to be a good or righteous kind of Black leaders, and the term is sloppy and imprecise, Dixon writes. So this is Dixon kind of breaking away from the term, and Glenn Ford here is defending it and explaining why it is still useful. So I know there's a part where he specifically talks about its origins. I think that's I Have So Deeply Embraced.
Yeah, by James. So yeah, I have so deeply embraced the Black misleadership class terminology. I thought I coined it myself, but a thorough Google search of both Black Agenda Report and the Black Commentator provides no evidence of my authorship. Instead, the first use of Black misleadership class by anyone appears in March 17, 2005, which is, it's hard to even determine who, when, where if it's not published. Talk about oral history. Issues of the Black Commentator. Then under my editorship, an article by James Warren titled 37 Years of Non-Struggle Misleadership. And if you Google it, James Warren will pop up. Warren, who described himself as having been active in the Black and labor movement for over 35 years, refers variously to a Black misleadership class and Black
misleadership.
And again, to a Black misleadership class and Black misleadership, as standing in the way of our most prized possession, the ordinary working class men and women waking up as if from a deep sleep.
Yeah. So, first off, Geechee, your point. I just want to, again, with dialectics, point out your point, because I've been making this point around the term Afro-pessimism, that like tracing the origin to one person, very Eurocentric construct, especially when we think about Black language, like our slang, how it emerges in multiple places at once usually, or it's regional and it's all sorts of people using it. So this one origin thing is just not common. Like it's very much a capitalist academy thing where you have to coin the term and then become the father of field, and then everybody has to fall under that. So I really appreciated Glenn here going back and being like, well, I didn't even coin this. Like, as you said, like it was popping up in our article. My comrades were using this. This was something that was developed organically. Same way Kwame Ture didn't coin Black Power. They were Atlanta organizers that were writing a position paper on it. It was coming independently throughout the civil rights movement, and Kwame Ture articulated that. So just really appreciated Glenn pointing out how comrades came up with this term. And in this next paragraph, ironically, he points out one of the comrades critiquing it helped push it. So he says, the next reference to the term appears in the title of Bruce Dixon's February 9, 2006 piece, Failure of the Black Misleadership Class. However, misleadership does not appear in the rest of the body of work. Instead, Dixon uses the term Black leadership 17 times without the prefix mis. 3 months later, on May 11, 2006, Dixon refers to the Black Misleadership Class and later the Black Business Leadership Class in an article titled The Black Stake in the Internet. So the other thing I'm seeing is that there was always a class analysis involved in the Black Misleadership Class as a term. So it wasn't so much about their ideas and their attitudes toward Black people, although that's important. It was also their class function. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember if they do, where they talk about the definition. Sorry, if you go down to where it says Black Misleadership Class is not a scientific term, we can get the definition, and then I think we could just jump into the video after that.
Where is it? Oh,
it's Black Misleadership Class in quotes at the start is not a scientific term. Keep going. There you go. Right there on the grassroots political activists, and then one more.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
So Black Misleadership Class is not a scientific term. It is weaponized political terminology with specific meaning based on Black historical and cultural political realities. Most often, in our usage at Black Agenda Report, the term refers to those Black political forces that emerged at the end of the 60s, eager to join the corporate and duopoly political, mostly Democrat ranks, and to spell out the interests of the overwhelmingly working class Black masses in the process. It is both an actual and I can't say that word. Aspirational class, which ultimately sees the interests as tied to those of U.S. imperialism and its ruling class. It seeks representation in the halls of corporate power and dreads social transformation, which would upset the class's carefully cultivated relationships with power.
Damn, bars. I wish I had the Jared drop. So we got a definition now. Goddess Crew has another term in the chat, compradors. And so again, my whole point about being dialectical and looking at our people's conditions, we're going to have a bunch of terms for these. I know Cabral and the PAIGC called them assimilados. There's gusanos for Cubans. So there's always like a trader class, a neo-colonial class. Vietnamese had a word for running dogs, right? The Filipinos had another word. So always a word for our traders. But we're using the term Black Misleadership Class. And I really appreciated it. He highlights the historical period it came out of. He talks about the people who are trying to get into halls of corporate power, but he highlights it on a political class. But we can always see that, like, as you're saying, Ichi, who's funding these big journalism retreats and all these other influencers, like that is also corporate power. And the last thing before we move on to the video that I wanted to highlight is that he says it's an aspirational class. Mm-hmm. I think that's really, really important, that people want to be in this. So even if you aren't yet, if your ideology puts you toward it, you will still pursue that trajectory, which is why I was saying to Amber about if this mayor is gone or something else, they're always going to find another one to put in that place because somebody is under these conditions, being told this is the way, being sold that dream, and they're going to try and step right in this place. And I will drop the article in the chat.
The article? Or?
Yeah, but
okay. So I wonder if when you think about, you said the expansion of the definition of the term, Like, are we talking about influencers or celebrities who are not politicians? And I think focusing on the peoples and the different things, it also takes away from maybe the conversation on specific policies that these people advocate for. So if they are somebody who has more, I know they talk about the dude in New York, but if they are people who have policies that you as an organization or organizer, somebody on the left agree with, I wonder if that conversation is there, because sometimes these conversations gets stuck in like, oh, it's this person, until this person is this because they're here, as opposed to this is the policy that I disagree with it and shows that they're this. And if they were us, then this would be the policy. So having a policy to juxtapose what they're talking about. So you can clearly see when people follow the Atlanta way, right? Which refers to these Black elites giving cover for particular projects that are literally destroying Black folks' lives and ability to even live. So you will see a Black politician or whoever advocate for Cop City, right? And so, or you will see Killer Mike, who essentially said all the money that's going there ain't no way to stop it. So instead, we should let it go happen and then get on the advisory board. Again, does that make him a Black misleadership class? So I think just having a conversation around the overall meaning of the thing, and I guess, as you said, expanding it, but then having a really focused conversation on the policies that describes such a class.
100% agree. And that's why I appreciate Glenn being like, it's about trying to get access to the halls of corporate power, because I think that is a large enough umbrella that all those policies of gentrification, of supporting cop cities, of all of this stuff plays a role. And then it's international, right? Which I appreciate, Glenn. They were sounding the alarm, but I think so much of it has to do with them having an international analysis. I talked to my comrades down here who are Haitian, and again, they say, like, we grew up under a dictator Black president. I had Black teachers, Black nurses, Black everything, including a Black president, and we were under a dictatorship. So experiencing neocolonialism in real time, decades before, well, we were experiencing it in our cities, but at the presidential level. If we had just thought about Haiti, South Africa, all these places that can have presidents that look like us that then don't serve our people, we would have been a little bit ahead of the game. So that being said, want to pull it up.
Yeah.
The remix show before the remix show is Flashback Friday. We're about to look at which is really dope. I found this just scouring through YouTube one day. They had a remix morning show before us, y'all. So we take a look.
Is there a particular place you want to start, or
just at the beginning, just to see how they do their layout?
Honestly, when it came on, it looked like Real News Network. I was like, wouldn't Real News, they done took the intro?
Maybe they were, or maybe it was like, how Microsoft has clip art. Maybe it was just like they all use the same thing. But yeah, I just want to start from 00 just for the first minute so we can see how they used to lay out their episodes. Okay. See what's similar with remix now and what's a little bit different.
In this edition of BATV, Bruce Dixon talks about the new Black misleadership class and the moneyed interests that pull their strings. The conscious hip-hop group Treble Army has a new video called Disco Obama. But whose tune is he really dancing to? Professor Tony Montero explains why the U.S. is choosing war, and yet more war. And some spoken word from the treasure troves of the BW Moving Images Vault. But first, Glenn Ford asked a question. What kind of role models do Black people want for their children? The kind that fight the powers that be, or the ones that just go with the flow?
Want to pause?
For many African Americans, Barack Obama's first run for the presidency was less a conventional.
So we're gonna let Ancestor Glenn cook a little bit. I like that layout. So what'd you notice? What's the same and what's different with our remix versus how they did Bar?
I mean, I think I like the instructive. This is what we're going to get into. This is what we're going to cover. I feel like, again, it helps structure the conversation. It's very intentional. I know that times has changed in terms of how social media is used, so we might have to straddle the fence and the other conversation and pulling people to the news. But yeah, I think that you could definitely look at that thing and immediately respect the credibility and see the work that's done in there. And then yeah, so I think as everybody's saying, like structured, right?
Yep. Very structured.
Yeah, I mean, I think, lastly, even speaking of reading structures, like if a team of people come together, they're doing something, and it's less about like all of us, right? Even the people in the chat are part of an effort to organize our people, politicize our people, and we all have different roles, and sometimes it feels like, I don't know. I think it feels like it's harder to acknowledge that in different roles, we might think that, oh, we could do that, and I would do it this way, or whatever the case would be. But reality is like, I mean, I don't know. I just think there's a level of grace and understanding that should be kind of delivered in these spaces to where, like, okay, at least these folks are literally trying to put this thing together, and they're intentionally trying to do this thing. And if I'm doing it, I'm trying to do it away, or if I'm in a chat and that's kind of how I'm doing it, it's like all of it supposed to reach an objective. And sometimes, like, yeah, you would have to try some things on your own before you should be laying out your critiques of how something should go.
Yeah, this is a lot of of work that went into this. I am always interested in the similarities and differences. Definitely love their intro, their structure. This is what we're about to get into, all of that. I do think when I look at our work, one difference is we're live and we're doing it constantly. This was pre-recorded, prepared. Someone already said it's got more of a kind of public affairs news format, like more of a traditional news format than what we have here. So I'm not sure if they were only putting out, like maybe 5 episodes a quarter or something like that. I was only able to find like a dozen of these, but I do think about that as well. The production is higher, but it's pre-recorded. We're going to see some other stuff. Like each of you and I live in different states. We only get to see each other when we're moving or working or something like that. So another thing is these people got to work together in person, I believe. And that can really, really change the productivity of an organization or of a group of people. So just stuff like that. Glenn's about to cook with his Obama analysis. So I really appreciated this. This was from, I believe, 2012. So Glenn is like, well, I warned you once, we running Obama back again in 2012. Let's see how it goes. But Glenn's got that sharp analysis and is again focused on Black America with his discussion, which I appreciate. So
political campaign than a continuation of all the Black struggles that had come before over the centuries. The usual rules of the political game did not apply in most Black folks' minds when it came to the junior senator from Illinois. For the first time in history, organized Black America made not a single demand, except that Obama make us all proud by winning the highest office in the land. Nothing was asked of him. Even the demand for a Marshall Plan for the cities that had been a standard item of the Black political agenda for the past 4 decades fell by the wayside. Barack Obama got a free pass from Black people in 2008. As a result, he was allowed to run to the right of his main Democratic opponents on major issues. He's been moving steadily rightward ever since. Yet, even as one disappointment followed another, Black support for Obama has only marginally declined. After more than 3 years, with Blacks facing the worst economic setbacks in modern times, even the expectation of substantial relief from the White House has all but disappeared. When confronted on this record, many Black Obama supporters fall back on a now familiar theme, that what is most important for African Americans, more important than issues of housing and jobs and war and peace, and even more important than mass Black incarceration, is that Black children have a role model to look up to in the White House. We at Black Agenda Report see the Obama legacy quite differently. For 4 years now, Black America has been politically neutralized, self-censored, and self-silenced, afraid to utter a word that might embarrass the first Black president. Black politics has become irrelevant by choice. It is not that Black demands are ignored, but that we are making no demands. It is not that the larger society refuses to listen to what Black people say, but that we aren't saying much of anything. If this continues for another 4 years, it will represent a kind of historical black hole, an 8-year period of Black political stagnation and irrelevance. During this time, an entire cohort, a whole generation of young African Americans will have come of age. They will have few, if any, contemporary role models of the kind they will truly need to fight their way out of the looming economic abyss, because we will not have taught them how to fight. That will be the legacy of the age of Obama, 8 years of Black silence, which is roughly the same length of time that witnessed the most intense struggles of the period we call the 60s, when another generation of Black people came of age. It was an era when young Blacks grappled with the most fundamental questions of how to build a new society, a new world. African Americans drew on the lessons of previous eras and taught each other new lessons. They not only had fighting role models, they became role models whose lives and work we still revere. What will the age of Obama bequeath our children, other than pretty pictures of a Black family that used to live in the White House? And what use will that be without a strong and vibrant Black political movement in the dark years ahead?
What you thinking, Geechee? What you
Our
thinking?
guest on this week's Thought Maker interview is Anthony Montero.
Before we get into Montero, so one of the things that I initially thought about as Glenn was talking, let me see if I can remember, because I remember when I was in Baltimore and they brought it down. What was it called? What was Obama's mentor program called?
My Brother's Keeper, because it was stolen out of Houston. But
yeah. So, yeah, well, a couple things, right? So, Black stagnation with the ability to convince those Black folks that they are excelling, right? So propaganda doesn't sell Black stagnation, even though materially it is. And so that's why, as Glenn was saying that, I was thinking about that quote that I keep reading out of Amos's book, like, don't give the people food, give them hope. Don't give them whatever, give them hope. And that'll cool their ass off for the next few years. And so Glenn and Amos in conversation makes it clear. And then now you look at today, like, what are you faced with? A bunch of content curators and, the Kai Tenets and all these other worlds. But not only does that hope comes, but when you think about My Brother's Keeper, like one of the conversations I was having with one of the brothers in one of these groups in Atlanta on why, like, one of the African Center elders taught me, like, we don't use the word mentor. Like, mentors, Greek mythology, and it prepares young people to engage in the society the way it is. We say Jegna. Jegna helps young people understand the material conditions that they're in and help change the world. So, while Obama is mentoring all the Black young people to be complicit with the U.S. project that is continuous, Jegna's as the one who you saw, who now burned to the ground like a library, like many libraries, they will teach you how to actually change and prepare you to change the world as opposed to be complicit with it. So it's not ironic that the hope that Glenn and Amos talked about also is coupled with a motherfucking mentor program that mentors into where we're at right now.
Yeah, well, first off, you gave me something. I'm definitely using that. Is Jegna Jegna? Is that correct? Okay, cool. I was about to ask for that spelling too, Zinzi. Jegna, that's dope. My Brother's Keeper. So I appreciate Glenn highlighting that we are all pulling from a tradition. I think I've been saying that a lot since I've been doing my substitute role on Remix. But Obama pulls from a tradition too, which I think is important, that the Black liberal tradition, which, as we said last week, is a right-wing tradition. So My Brother's Keeper is not new. Like it was taken from, I think Houston was already doing it. Obama knew the church, the black church, and how to play us. Even though he didn't back up Jeremiah Wright, he was in those sermons. He probably picked up some things along the way. And so My Brother's Keepers, yeah, that's old. I've been hearing that since I was a jit. I don't even know. So I think there was a Houston-based mentorship group, like black mentorship group for young men that existed. And I think Obama's administration took that, if I'm getting my history right. But regardless, even if it wasn't from there, there's a bunch of orgs that already exist like that. In Miami, my uncle was the mayor down here. Again, amazing for the community, but I would raise some of the critiques I raised, that Amber raised of the Memphis mayor. Regardless, he started 500 role models, which is now 5,000 role models under Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, paragon of the Black misleadership class. And so they're now honoring for their role model of the year, the last ceremony I had to go to, Larry, help me, Howie, the fucking lawyer who helped you with whatever traffic tickets or whatever, white guy, by the way, Rick Ross and Omari Hardwick. And Rick Ross, when he was at this 500, now 5,000 role model ceremony, was called by his government name, by Frederica Wilson. And if those aren't familiar, he used to work corrections. So they called him out and they said, we know if we ever need anything, officer, and they said his government name, will be there. So I say all this to say, the Israel General Consul was there. It was a lot of police and corrections officers who are mentoring, as you said, Najegna, mentoring these youth. And that is the trajectory, ultimately, of these organizations. I don't even think my uncle, when he started his 500, expected it to be this way. I still think he had that kind of, well, invested in our own communities, you'll become an upstanding citizen. But just very quickly, at the presidential level, if they find something like that, they'll swallow it up and spit it back out at you in the worst way possible. So the other thing, that Marshall Plan. So I remember from U.S. history, but I had to look it up again, what the Marshall Plan was. So I wanted to talk about it because he says there should be a Marshall Plan for U.S. cities. And so according to Wiki, the Marshall Plan was officially the European Recovery Program, and it was a U.S. initiative enacted in 1948 to provide over $15 billion in aid to help rebuild Western Europe after World War II. So hearing that, and then hearing that they wanted a Marshall Plan for the U.S. cities seems real interesting. So I dropped the link in the chat about the National Urban League and how they had a Marshall Plan as well. So Geechee, earlier you talked about policy and how do we identify which policies are and what aren't. And Glenn is basically saying like there aren't any. You know what I mean? Like that program, My Brother's Keepers, just vibes. That's what I was just trying to say. Like it's not even what it was originally intended to do. And he has no policy that Black people have been asking for, no Marshall Plan, nothing. So he was basically saying that all we're going to get is vibes. That's what we get from Obama is pure vibes. So we get him doing all the things to look like us. We get a Black family that used to live in the White House. Glenn was so spot on with that. I still remember the ebony magazines on my like coffee table with the Obama family sitting in the White House and stuff like that. So it was just all that, no policy. So
yeah, I mean, I think even like Whitney, I think Whitney Young and some other folks was having conversation around some type of Marshall Plan, or even but I think what happens is that the reason why we probably couldn't is like who is on the left that is seriously talking about like, hey, this is the political map to get to the social order and society that we are fighting and organizing for. And so this is the path to get there. And so that's why we wouldn't really have a plan. And we might have critiqued the Urban League or the Whitney Young or even the Congressional Black Caucus is wrong as misleaders, but them having something on paper to say this is their objective and us not having something to say the same. Yeah, there wouldn't be like, what would be the plan at this point? Like what kind of Marshall Plan would we struggle around, or what type of infrastructure would we say is correct? What is our goal for economic empowerment? How do we view housing? Like I don't think we have any of those like conversations. So yeah, there wouldn't be any.
Yeah, it's so complicated for a lot of reasons, right? Because you would have to have a policy, and then we would understand which policies are reformist and which ones are pushing us toward the revolutionary direction. I know you've done a lot of research on the party, and we talk all the time about needing a party, but that would be the function of the party is to say those lines. I remember The Intercept leaked when Biden got into office, and all the Black liberal all-stars, the NAACP, all the legal defense funds, they were all in that call with him, where he basically told everybody, like, shut up and be grateful, like, just shut up and dribble. And I remember that call where he told them he literally told all the Black liberal leaders they were ungrateful, that he didn't have any plans to pass any of their shit. But when I look at the policy proposals, again, most of it is liberal, kind of reformist, common sense stuff. And there's not proposals I would have written. They're not things I find useful, other than to be the contradiction raiser. When I'm like, you want this, all the CBC and then we're asking for was this bare minimum shit, and Biden still said no. So that was my biggest thing. Biden, from the beginning of his administration, told us no kind of policy plan for Black people is getting through. And the Black liberals were basically on the call like, oh, I couldn't believe this when you told us not to vote for this man without some sort of leverage. So I think we definitely have a crisis of policy in our movement right now and what that needs to look like. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see two comments in here that's interesting. Sheena says I don't think there can be a map though. It's a multi-pronged issue. That's either a big ass map or the congruent struggles cannot be mapped out, but has to be engaged simultaneously. I'm not sure if I understand the full response, but I do think, again, having laid out a political objective doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do other simultaneous work, because they all kind of in group. Like, so programs and policy has a relationship, right? So if you have programs in your community, I'm pretty sure there's a policy to engage to expand how you impact the people, because again, not having the resources and or ability without engaging the larger system that is like pulling from us would only serve a few people.
Yeah.
And then
before we get to I appreciate the analogy. I just think, with analogies we can get lost. Like, I hear the point about a map. I just see it as how you get from point A to point B. But maps can be insanely complicated. There can be multiple maps. When you go on your phone, there's like 4 different layers you could put on the map, like of the city, terrain, and all that. So I just think, using that analogy, I 100% agree. There's a lot of struggles going on, and you might only be focused on your one narrow section of that complex map, but still, it gets you from point A to point B. How do you do this and get here? So,
I don't know about this one. It's not a we having a plan issue. It is that they don't want you to control resources and wealth issues, saying it is the lack of planning on our part is missing the point. I do think we and they, like, I feel like even having clarity around who is the we and who's the they is something that before we even get to this thing would be important, because sometimes we believe we is we and sometimes we ain't we. So
and then who's plan, right? Because again, ideology, the tradition you draw on is going to determine the plan. I'm already of that tradition. Ella Baker says radical organizing means you already know you're going to lose. Like, you're trying to get stuff that they refuse to give you. So I'm operating from that position that we aren't getting the money. They don't want us to have those money and resources. You will meet organizers who are more liberal or conservative who think that America is fundamentally okay and we're just not trying hard enough. And so for those people, their plan they develop is going to be just doing what America tells you to do and hoping it works out. So the plan we develop is going to look different based on if you understand that statement. Do they want you to have resources? Yes or no? That's why John Hope Bryant's on here saying the only color they care about is green. Anyone can get a bank loan, Because to him, they want you to have the resources. We're just too ignorant to fill out a bank application or some shit. So, Friend of the platform, Anthony Montero, somebody we've had on. I am talking about this lineage here. So it was cool seeing Glenn interview Anthony, and then we have some interviews on Black Liberation Media for folks if they want to go look at those. But
Yeah, then I think there's a couple of shots. You want to play that, or I know there's a shout out to Jared and a few people at the end.
Oh, really? Dang, I must have missed that. We can jump there and I want to let this rock a little bit because I do know they talk about Black America in their analysis, and I appreciated that. So maybe like the first half, we could let rock for a little bit.
Professor of African American Studies at Temple University in Philadelphia.
Dr. Montero, you are an accomplished academic, but you've also been a political activist and I would say a political leader all of your adult life. And we're so pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
The United States seems to be in a period of perpetual war. And it seems these wars are all wars of choice. At least that's what President Obama says. And yet this guy got a Nobel Peace Prize in his first year in office.
Well, that's one of the great contradictions of our time in history, that war is being defined as peace. And I guess peace will be defined as war. Obviously, President Obama is the commander-in-chief of the most aggressive nation in the world.
And why then does he have a reputation as one who is trying to bring peace?
Well, you know, that's a manufactured reputation, and it's invented and manufactured by the people whose interest is in war, but in defining war as peace. By that I mean that 1%, the infamous 1%, the financial oligarchy. They have defined him and branded him as a peacemaker, and he really is not.
You have linked this economic crisis, which is a world economic crisis, with the renewed belligerency of the United States.
Exactly. You know, if I were to define the major factors in our world, I would have to say it is the global economy. And I think we're looking at a real meltdown. Some are saying in 2013, the global economy will be far worse than it was in 2008, when, you know, the financial crisis and the recession began. Really, Glenn, what we're looking at is the possibility of a real Great Depression of the type of the 1930s. Now, when you combine this economic crisis with the perpetual war scenario of the Obama administration, we're looking at a very dangerous moment in history.
What is Black America's position as we enter this period of great danger in the world? We know that historically, African Americans have been the group most opposed to U.S. adventures abroad. And yet President Obama is juggling all kinds of adventures. And we don't seem to hear much from the Black leadership class, or should we call them the Black misleadership class?
That's a great question. You know, I think Black America has to rediscover who we are. We have lost our way. We have lost our identity. When you consider the fact that the paramount leader of the second half of the 20th century, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., said that peace and the struggle against poverty and racism were the triplets of progressive struggle in his time, and I would suggest in our time. I think we've gotten away from that, and we have to rediscover our grounding and our roots in that great moment of our struggle and in that type of leadership that Martin Luther King Jr. represented.
So I'm gonna try to go to that, and I think they were.
Did you? Oh, the Disco Obama. We're gonna drop the link. The Disco Obama segment is hilarious, by the way. These guys are cooking. So I'm gonna drop the link to the video in the chat for y'all, but man.
Inspiring time will be had by all. Now that's at Riverside Church in New York City on October 12th. Spend the evening with Dr. West and other brilliant movers and shakers, and with the Black Agenda Report team, including Glenn Ford, Bruce Dixon, Tony Montero, Margaret Kimberly, Nellie Bailey, Marsha Coleman Adebayo, Jemima Pierre, Jared Ball, and me, Ayana Nana Soul Jones. See you there.
Look at Jared. Young Jared. Man, that was great. There are a bunch more. They do international segments, so that whole bringing on a thought maker for an interview is cool. I can see so many of the influences on what BLM has become in that interview. So it was really fun. Not a younger, thicker Dr. Jab. Y'all funny.
All of them was young.
Babyface Jab with the goatee.
But yeah, I guess Jemima had that same picture still. But Margaret, all of them was much younger.
Oh, that's Margaret before. Yeah, that was Margaret for the braids. That's right. Man. Any closing thoughts on that one? I know we have some more episodes. We'll probably drop the links in the chat. Might drop them in a comment once I figure out the show description. I'll do that for y'all. But there's that Disco Obama segment at the end. I definitely recommend folks check that one out. It's hilarious. He goes through. It's just good propaganda work. And then they also had a cultural offering with some spoken word. So really like how they used to do their segments. Very well done. I would love to find more info on how many of these there are and things like that. So we talked about it, Geechee, but like bringing on Margaret Kimberly in the future and stuff like that. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I don't have any, I think, additional to that. I think it's pretty dope watching that and then kind of seeing people work. And I guess it's kind of Jared, well, I guess I should. Jared shared with me that there's a conversation. One of his students is in a class of another person that we all know, and it made me rewatch an old video. So there's this is clear. Dr. Mayat, who's also a professor at Oregon State, she brought Barter and Bill Think Tank on to have a conversation around Jared's book, and and all of us have been in. Well, I used to live in Baltimore. Jared is obviously in Baltimore. Dr. Mayat is in Baltimore. It's a bunch of us Baltimore people, and Brother Heber, and I'm not us Baltimore people, but bunch of us in Baltimore. And when that book came out, the first edition, there was some conflict, right? People was like, this nigga Jared, and they was like, did you read the book? Well, I ain't read the book. I just done it. And that happened for a year, and almost a year and a half. And then, me and a sophomore, my comrade who transitioned, it's like, Geechee and a sophomore don't like black businesses. They be talking shit about black. And I'm like, wait, slow down, read the book. But anyway, we finally got on the platform, and we were having a conversation about the book, and myself, Asafo, and another sister from the study collective. And the first 30 minutes, pretty much all of the interview, they were agreeing with everything that there was no argument with what Jared was saying. But when it got to the end of the interview, and I'll drop the link too, when we got to the end of the interview, that's when the sister was talking about her students. She's taught them that black folks could get contracts, defense contracts, and selling things to Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. And Asafo was like, "What the we don't need black folks. What are you talking about?" And then she kind of felt some type of way and just took them off of the stream. And it was just like that thing. It's like you agree with the argument around black buying power, but then you still trying to push entrepreneurship. And so kind of seeing, content from back, and that's only 3 years ago, but with Glenn and them is so far and back, it's seeing how these words and these arguments outlive them, right? So it's just kind of like a interesting thing to always see that. I mean, I think most of us in these chats and conversation, we read a lot, we study, whatever. So we always kind of seeing Hubert Harrison was saying that shit back in 1900. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, there's two things. I think that person's protecting job security, right? Like the professor. That's what she's into. When I was TAing, my professor casually told me that if I ever wanted a job at the NYPD, she knew the head of the counterterrorism division, and that my background would make me excellent for that. Funny stuff. She wasn't wrong, but hilarious kind of things that happen at these institutions. So there's that. I think you ran into this contradiction a little bit on Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win with Dr. Yusuf about the argument, because I think some people hear it against Black business and they can't hold the two things in their head. Like, there is a fundamental truth about reality, like that this in a grand sense isn't doing anything. But on a community level, there is a positive benefit to engaging in Black commerce, as Brokish called it, or Black enterprise. So I think that kind of self-determination, our drive for community organizing is one thing to balance. I think some people, when they hear Jared's argument, don't hear that foregrounded enough. And so their mind is only on that. Even though they're hearing everything you're saying, they're agreeing with it. They're like, but that Black business you start could be the start of meeting a farm. And then you could meet so on and so forth. And like, it's true, actually. Like, having Black commerce, I think CMB is aware. You all have the CMOS and you do engage in Black enterprise and Black commerce in that way. It can be a way to culturally keep us linked. It can be a way to make sure we have certain skills for production in the community. But systemically scaling it, we know there's going to be a barrier when you try and scale that from a community level. And so that's why I think a lot of people get really stuck in the myth of Black buying power argument. Is like, this is an argument about the entire system at scale, and you're trying to talk about limited community dynamics, within your neighborhood.
Oh man, Sherry Jones just put me in some nostalgic moments, because they were saying that they remember it, but I actually remember them in the chat during that day, and they were, Sherry Jones was definitely laying out points also in the chat. So 3 years later,
you got Dr. Julian Malvode. That's what happened to you.
It was. But the interesting thing is, as soon as when the live went off, we stayed backstage and talked, and she went to apologizing and like invited him to stuff, and I just know it was performative, but it was just really like that actually set the course of like, well, yeah, I can't really fuck with you. And I actually did put out a DIY critique, do-it-yourself critique of her interview with Boyce Watkins, where Boyce was saying shit like, and I was just like, the video is like, when he says something, and then I have evidence to prove he's incorrect. And I just kept, and I didn't say anything. I just kind of like let people, contradict themselves. Like, one moment, all Black people should be a business owner. But then, you need to employ Black jobs. And I'm like, wait, which one are we going to do? Right? And then, you need to stop wasting money here. But if I'm wasting my money on shea butter and shit like that, then that means the person that you told to start a business to do shea butter, he ain't gonna have no damn sales. So like, at some point we have to stop and like wait for a minute and make sure this all makes sense. And I feel like anybody who asks you to slow down and have clarity around things normally are deemed the problem. Like, I'm just going to work. So I'm like,
and that's when they say they're capitalist, that's the part I agree with. That is the capitalist in you. Like, we don't have to understand why something is what it is. We just need to know how it works so we can sell this shit. So you trying to slow us down. Look, stop all that. Listen, we gotta pump, we got deliverables to meet. And I feel that so much, where it's like, what, we aren't doing anything, like studying isn't doing anything. Yet at the same time, people have so much school trauma. They clearly know studying is doing something. Otherwise you wouldn't be so avoidant of the effort it takes to sit down, get some notes, do a little vocab. Like, it's work. It is work to read. That is labor. So I get into that a lot with, we aren't doing anything by studying. I also don't think it applies across fields. What do you have against? I don't think it applies across fields though, because like, if you go to a football team and they're watching tape, people aren't in here like, what do y'all do? Y'all not running right now. Y'all not hitting people. Why aren't y'all like, bro, we watching tape? Like, so it's always wild to me when it's like a study group or a study session that someone signed up for. You put your info in the Zoom. You came to something called the study session, and you came to be like, why aren't we in the game?
Bro,
it's just,
listen, playing football, if you ever watch a football game and you ever played a football game, even though like on the field, there's a lot of excitement. He's going, like, you got to like make sure that everything is happening. But watching it, like, it's only like 9 to 6 big plays. Most of it is, and that's just that. But Monday practice, Tuesday practice, and all those practice, film watch, body recovery, like what the, like, there's most of your work is literally studying, right? Kwame Nkrumah achieved the revolution, got cooled out, wrote about everything. You mean to tell me he's gonna write something and studying is not important, reading is not important? When Algerian revolutionaries came to Ghana, before they did any work, they sat in a room and studied for almost a week before they even start to do anything outside. So it's like yes, I understand, like, you have to do work and you have to do it simultaneously, but I feel like there's always a constant antagonistic, sometimes on both sides, people who studying and rhetoric and talking and not actually being able to apply it to see if it has to shift or change. And then there's people who like just doing the work and just spinning around, you know. And so I think the balance of doing both is obviously where, like, one of my young folks, the other day we was talking about something and he was talking through the conflict. Now, again, talk to the conflict mean we literally doing work and we talking to conflict. He said, man, you know what? I'm resolve it, but I'm gonna just keep studying. I'm like, well, that's actually the answer, because, like, you know, and now as a chapter we're studying the Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare and talking about, and like how Kwame talks about liberated zones and all these other things and putting it in the context of hair. But some of the dynamics and conflicts that we're seeing, like it's hair, like, and you can kind of see it beforehand, and it actually helps you avoid constant mistakes or mistakes that are not new, right? So imagine somebody just coming into a new space and be like, well, you know, I don't want to read anything about, and we talk about dialectical historic materialism. I don't want to read anything about anything there. I just want to do this new thing right here.
No, that's the colonial capitalist mindset. You don't have a history. You are a cog in this machine here and now. Make it in this system. No question. I know we're gonna make time today, which is nice. So I know we're coming to a close, but I wanted to shout out my comrade James in Columbus, who said something really similar to what you said when we were having our last PE session, talking about chess, which is a program we also run. I mentioned boxing, runs, armed self-defense, but chess is something we do for all ages every third Friday. And he was explaining he's been doing it for years, and it's a game where you can study the records. So you can see every move that's been played in the past. And you, even though you might not be aware that you're playing the board a certain way, someone else in the past might have played that exact same board, that exact same battle, and you aren't even going back to see what happened. One thing I learned from my brother when he went to chess club just for 1 week back in elementary school, he learned a 4-move checkmate. And it's something that's super simple to beat, but if you don't know about it, like, it can get you real fast. He came back from class, boom, 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 beat me in 4 moves. I was like, what the hell just happened? And that was because he studied chess. He knows the past. So what did I have to do? Either in the moment, I have to figure out how to solve that, which is doing double work, in my opinion, because you're trying to solve a problem that already existed. Or I go on Wikipedia, how to beat the 4-move chess, and then, right. So I see PE as really similar to that. Either you have this arrogance, or you don't have access, so you have to learn it from scratch, or you realize there are smart, brilliant Africans before you who tried to solve this problem, and you should be checking them out.
Yep. Also, even in campaign work, I don't know how you're not going to be reading and studying and being clear around what you're doing and your targets and your objectives and what can be done, what hasn't been done. Like, and then essentially, again, I know there's also a critique, or not even critique, a bullshit ass like person reading books. What is reading books other than being in communication with somebody who fucking wrote the book? So whether you're talking to people or you're reading the books, like, you're getting information. I hope, you know, unless you're reading, you know, one of Tariq Nasheed's How to Pimp books, but I mean, you're getting information. You're in conversation with somebody, which, you know, maybe a whole conversation around, even as you think about oral history, but written word, essentially, it's I don't want to say duplicate process, but it's a particular process that I don't want to even say cheapen. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but there's somebody who's writing the book. Let's just say that. And you could be in conversation with them, or you could be in conversation with what they wrote. You can't probably ask them questions and talk further, but essentially it's in communication with people. And people who has information that actually can help you do a particular thing. So if you don't know how to do something, as you might have said, most people will watch a YouTube video or watch something. You're getting information to help you do something is ultimately what the fuck you're doing when you're reading and studying and all those other things.
Yep.
Hopefully. So
I think BLM hits that the smooth balance that you're talking about, though. Like, you can go see Jared's chapter by chapter breakdown. I came to BPM, now BLM, after reading Jared's book. So I appreciate what we do here. A lot of our conversation is us synthesizing what we've read, responding to common questions that we come across. So even a lot of my PE came from this platform, from just listening, watching interviews, and then following up and reading on my own. So, all right. We hit our time. Any last comments you want to pull from the chat, or?
Nah. I'm just gonna invite everybody in Atlanta. If you're coming through Atlanta, you're close to Atlanta, come out to this book event. Brian Coble will be down in Atlanta at Create ATL. Dartricia, who's a dope ass oral historian, will be in conversation with us back at C&D event in West Atlanta. So if you're out and about near the West End, come through. And then I think even after that, like the next month, we will also have a book conversation around Beneath the Mountain, which is a anti-prison reader with Mumia as an editor and Jennifer Black. They will be in town, and we'll be on Morehouse campus having dope dialogue. And so if you're in town or around, come through.
Shout out. I'm gonna be in Atlanta for a Sala, so I don't know if Koba's gonna be there, but
that's why he coming to town.
There you go. So we gonna link. That's great. All right.
You should stay happy.
You should stay happy. That's dope. BNB National, we have a Theory Thursday. We're focusing on labor for, I believe, this month and the next month. So check us out. We're going to be talking about the history of Black labor, about that dialectic between race and class, and how we've been the tip of the spear on that in the U.S. and internationally, usually.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in, the lively chat, and all of the stuff that y'all share.
Appreciate y'all, as Jared and Chairman Fred Hampton said. Peace, if you're willing to fight for it. We appreciate you. Have a great week.
Maybe.
Staggering, the gathering, possessed by a pattern that be scattering. Over the global, my vocals be traveling, unraveling, my abdomen is slime is babbling, grammatics that are masculine, I grab them in.